Get ready with me while I tell you why me and my old best friends aren't best friends anymore. So, to start you off, we've been friends for almost a year. A weird thing I noticed, like, beginning in our friendship is that she went for a lot of guys that had girlfriends, and especially her friends, and I did not like that. And also, a lot of the time she tried getting with those guys, she had a boyfriend, so she was cheating on her boyfriend with guys who had girlfriends. Started talking to this guy, he comes over and she calls him cute, and I was like, you know what, whatever, it's fine, like he doesn't like her, I don't have to worry about that, right? Also, a lot of her past friends dropped her because she would do the same thing too, but even worse. She was over at my house like every weekend, and my boyfriend moved in with me after we lived at his house for a little bit, and she would always try to be really friendly with him and like offer to do this, do that, get him this, get him that. I was like, whatever, like I'm not stressing it because like you do you. And my boyfriend is telling me he feels uncomfortable and that he wants to go home when she comes over. And I'm like, I'm not gonna do that to my boyfriend. Like, but she gets another boyfriend after cheating on the last one and they broke up. So I was like, you know what? This will be good. Now she'll have something to distract her and leave my boyfriend alone. So she starts dating this kid at her job, and there's this other boy there who she starts having sex with, who has a girlfriend, and she is well aware of that. And while she's having sex with him, she's also texting another kid that also has a girlfriend. Now, I wasn't stressing about it because I trust my boyfriend and I know he wouldn't do anything with her. Tries adding him on TikTok. I was like, whatever. Instagram, whatever. Then adds him on Snap. And I know how she is with guys on Snap because I've seen it. And I was like, what? He obviously doesn't follow her back because what? And she also adds him on Facebook, and I was like, girl, what the fuck? Like, so we talk about it, and I'm like, you need to back off. And she's always so friendly with him and flirting with him, and we talk about it, and she was talking about I add everyone on everything that I see, and you can't mistake my friendliness for flirting. If you could do this to your old friends in the past, we haven't even known each other that long, and then do it to these girls at your job when you know they have girlfriends, like what makes you think that I don't think you're gonna do it to me? Keep in mind, she called my boyfriend a few times even before I got with him, when she knew I was trying to get with him. And all my brother's friends that come over, she always tries to get at, but none of them want her because she has a boyfriend and they know her past because she continues to do it. So I call her out on the stuff she's doing, and now she wants to come and say that I'm a hoe because I live with my boyfriend and stuff. Girl, make that make sense. And basically now saying a whole bunch of stuff about me just because like the truth is coming out, and now trying to make me look like a bad person. So of course I had to stop being friends with her because why are you trying to get at my boyfriend, and why are you doing a whole bunch of things with boys that have girlfriends? Like, that's weird. And now because she's mad that me and the girls are talking about it, who she also did it to, she's posting like rumors and stuff, trying to get back. Like, not only did she try getting with all of my brother's friends, she tried getting with all of my boyfriend's friends. While she was at my house, she would always try to touch him and play around with him, flirt with him, and he would get like mad and have to like leave the room. It's crazy you can't even trust a friend that you let stay at your house all the time. Every weekend I let her stay here. If she had anything going on, I let her stay here, and that's what she does back to me. I was wondering why all these girls stopped being friends with her at a short amount of time. And I thought it was sad because I thought we were best friends, and how can you do that to your best friend, or even a friend, or to any girl? After seeing what she said to those girls and then sent me the same thing talking about, I love you, I will never do that to you, sent that to all of us, I was like, girl, like, You sent the same thing that just confirmed it. So that's when I knew I really had to drop her because it's just not gonna work.
Hey guys, get ready with me while I talk about the date I went on 3 days ago and how I almost died. So I met this guy on TikTok. Actually, he DM'd me, and he didn't live too far from me. He actually has 2 apartments. He has one in Cortland, New York, and he has one in New York City. So we ended up adding each other on Snapchat, and he got my number, which I really liked. Like, he asked me for my number first, and then we started Snapchatting, and you know, he was just talking to me, and he seemed like such a nice guy. Like, he was my type, like perfect, like 6'4", Italian, tattoos, very attractive, and he's very sweet. He said literally all the right things, like perfect. Like, I would have never expected this. So at this point in time, he was in Cortland, which was really close to me. So we went on a date, and before this date, he would ask me kind of past questions about my past relationship. He was like, has a guy ever bought you jewelry before? Like, has he done this? Has he done that? And I was like, no, no guy has ever bought me jewelry before, because they haven't. This man shows up on the date with this necklace, this ring, and this bracelet. They're all bows, which I was like, how does he know I like bows this much? I was so I wasn't weirded out, but I was kind of just like how does he know? Anyways, he was such a gentleman on the first date, held the door open for me, paid for dinner, bought me flowers, obviously bought me a bunch of jewelry, which I was like, this is kind of weird, suspicious. This is the first time I've ever met this guy in person, and we've only been talking for a couple weeks. Why is he buying me all of this stuff already? When he was dropping me off, because I went home after the date, whatever, he was playing The Weeknd, Lana Del Rey, which are all my favorite artists, Drake. He was just playing all of that, which I also didn't tell him what kind of music I liked, and I was like, oh my god, you know who Lana Del Rey is? Because guys don't listen to Lana Del Rey. He's like, oh yeah, she's one of my favorite artists. And I told him to put on I think it was Cola, by her, and he was like, oh my god, this is my favorite song. I'm like, this is literally my favorite song. What? And then he put it on, and he literally didn't know any of the lyrics. So I was like what the fuck? I didn't want to make him feel bad, because I thought he was just being cute and trying to make it seem like we had the same music taste. But now that I think about it, it kind of just seems like he was studying me for weeks before we even hung out. I don't know. But after that date, we would call on the phone a lot, FaceTime a lot, you know, text a lot. Also, he's 27, so I didn't really Snapchat him much, which I also really liked. I liked how mature he was, or how I thought he was. But we would just talk, and he'd be so loving, and be so affectionate, and so manly, and you know, just being really super sweet and cute. And then after a couple days of us texting, he would start he started getting really weird, too much. He was like, I'm gonna marry you, I'm gonna propose to you soon, just straight weird stuff, I want to have babies soon. I'm just I literally just got out of a relationship. I am not looking for that yet. That is just too much for me to talk about right now. I just can't. And he was like, oh, that's fine. You know, I'll wait for you, as long as I can. I'll wait for you, as long as you want. And I was like, okay. And then a couple days go by, and we're still texting, because it's not weird enough for me to like stop talking to him yet. And he's like, I'm going to my condo, like I have some business to do, like if you want to come with me, like I'd really like to show you like my place. And I was like, yeah. So he picks me up. He's in Cortland, like his other apartment, and we drive all the way to New York City. And like on the way there, like I don't even know how to explain it. Like he was just acting so different. Like he had like this shake in his voice. Like he just looked like a lot different, like scared, like kind of. And I was like, what the fuck? Like what is going on with this guy? Like is he on coke or something? Like I don't fucking know. But like the whole way there, he like wouldn't stop looking at me. He was like, oh my god, like you're so beautiful, like I can't believe you're in my car right now. And I'm like, thank you. Like, but like it was excessive. Like he just kept saying it like over and over and over, and like it started to make me really fucking uncomfortable, like really uncomfortable. Like he was just like, your eyes, like they're just so beautiful, like your teeth are so beautiful, like do the dentist like compliment your teeth a lot? And I'm like what the fuck? Then we end up getting to his condo in New York, and I'm not even gonna lie, like it was probably like the most beautiful place I've ever seen in my life. Like oh my god, it was just like straight out of a movie. Like I was like, I'm in heaven. Like oh my gosh. Then we ended up getting to his condo, and after we got settled and everything, he took me to this very, very nice steak dinner, like very romantic. Like I gotta fix that. Anyways, on this date, it was way creepier than the previous one we went on. He just started talking about like a lot of personal things about me that literally only my closest friends know. And I'm just like, how does he know this stuff? Like this is creeping me the fuck out. So I'm sitting here texting my cousin, and I'm like, dude, like I don't know like what's going on. Like I don't know how he knows all this stuff, but like you might need to come pick me up. Like this is honestly like a really scary situation I'm in right now. And then we end up going back to his condo, and we're just laying on the couch, like cuddling, watching a movie. And he then says, so how do you like your new home so far? And I'm like, what? And then I kind of just like laughed it off, but in my head I was scared as fuck. And he was just like, oh my god, like it literally sends chills down my spine. And then after I laughed, this man's whole demeanor like flipped. He was just went from like a soft like gaze to like a creepy fucking weirdo like gaze. He was like, why are you laughing? And I'm like, I don't know. And then he just started talking about like, oh, like you're gonna move in here with me, like we're gonna raise our kids. And I'm like, I already told you, like I am not looking for that kind of thing right now. Like it's too much for me. And he's like, I don't care, like I brought you here, like you're gonna stay here with me like while I do business, like you're not leaving. And then at this point I was like, okay, like I need to leave, like this guy's a fucking creep. I'm like texting my cousin, I'm like, you need to like come pick me up right now, like you need to fucking drive to New York and pick me up, like this is scary, like I don't know how he knows like all this information about me, like and like the things he's saying to me, like he's gonna try to keep me fucking held hostage here, like you need to come pick me up right now, like I'm scared. So obviously she comes and picks me up, but I was like, okay, well honestly you're making me super uncomfortable, so I'm leaving. Like my cousin's coming to pick me up. He's like, you're not fucking leaving, like I drove all the way to your house and I picked you up and I brought you here, you're gonna stay here with me, like blah blah blah. I was like, dude, like no, I'm leaving. And then I started running out of his condo. I'm like, I'm leaving, like this is scary. Like he literally starts fucking running after me, like he starts running after me. And I'm like unfortunately I have no time left, so let me know if you guys want a part 2. Guys, this is going to be the part 2 of the video I made last night. But first I want to go over a couple of things before First, I want to talk about my IEP. I'm 20 years old and I recently just got diagnosed with ADHD, and because of that, I use filler words a lot in my sentences, but I've noticed that there's a lot of people being really mean about it for literally no reason. Like, there is no reason for you to comment on my video those vulgar things. Like, it's not necessary. You shouldn't be being mean to random people on the internet. It just makes you look miserable and it makes you look bad. So, FYI, if you comment something mean on my video, I'm going to delete it. Take that how you must. I'm gonna try to not say like a lot in this video, but also it's just the way I've talked for my whole entire life. Like, I can't just change it in one video, you know what I mean? So if you don't like it, you can kindly just scroll away from my video. You don't have to leave nasty comments about it. I think I left off by telling you guys that I ran out of his apartment. As I was running out of his apartment, he started yelling at me. He was like, come back, like, you're all mine, like, you're not leaving, I'm not gonna let you leave, like, I'm all you have. Like, I literally just met this guy a couple weeks ago, and he's saying all this creepy stuff to me. Anyways, I'm gonna try not to sound like a pick-me when I say this, but it's kind of important to the story. I am 5 feet tall. I am 120 pounds. This man is like 6'4", way taller than me, way bigger than me. I'm running from him. He's gaining on me fast. He catches up to me and he stops me. Like, he gets in front of me and he stops me. He's like, please just stop, like, calm down, like, I'm not gonna hurt you, I would never do that. I'm screaming. I say, get away from me, you're scaring me, I just want to leave, I need to go home, you are making me extremely uncomfortable, I'm not interested in you anymore. I'm just yelling all of this while he's just holding my shoulders, trying to get me to like come back into his apartment, and I'm like, no, like, I'm not doing that, like, I'm not going with you. But obviously I stop and I start talking to him because it's literally just me and him, like, in the hallway of his condo. So there was nothing I could do. There's not really any doors around. So I'm just talking to him, and I was like, how do you know, like, all these things about me? Like, it's creepy. Why are you, like, rubbing it in my face, trying to make it seem like you're the only person in the world that I have? And then after I called him creepy, he literally just started, he like grabbed my shoulders, was like shaking me, and he's screaming in my face. He's like, I'm not fucking creepy. You had a terrible life. I just wanted to show you what it's like to be loved, because I know you were never loved. I watched your TikToks for weeks. I learned all about you so you would learn to love me for like knowing all this stuff and treating you the way you deserve. And I'm just thinking, how is this treating me the way I deserve? How is you luring me into your apartment to try to get me to stay there treating me the way I deserve? That is not treating me the way I deserve. It's fucking creepy. But after he freaked out on me and said that, I kind of just sat there for a second thinking about what to do, and I just started running. I started running for my life. He's running after me. He's screaming. He's like, you're never gonna find someone else like me. You're never gonna get the life you want if you don't stay here with me. I'm offering you so much. Just come back. Like, just being so creepy. But as I'm running, I finally like get close to the lobby. I took the stairs and I started dialing 911, and I got on the phone with them, and I think he heard them like on the phone, so he stopped following me. And I don't really know like where he went after that, but I ended up going onto the street and I was on the phone with them. I was like telling them the situation, and I'm on the street outside of his apartment building. I wish I was joking when I said this. I wish I was joking when I'm saying this. I look up at the apartment building and he's holding a picture of me on the window. A picture of me on the fucking window. Mind you, I'm 21 years old. I graduated high school almost 3 years ago. So I don't have any of my senior photos on any of my social medias. So this man literally looked up my family or something and found out the photography page I got my pictures done by, and he printed a picture, like a senior photo of me out, and he had it held up to the window. After I saw that he had that picture, obviously I was like looking at him and my eyes were widened. He could see. And I started yelling on the phone to 911, and all he did was smile and walk away from the window. I also saw a couple comments where they were like, oh, this story's fake. I truly wish it was. Like, as crazy as it sounds, it's completely real. It's 100% real, and it was one of the most traumatizing things that's ever happened to me, and I hope and pray no other girl ever has to go through it. Anyways, NYPD ends up picking me up literally off the street. I'm scared, I'm shaking, I'm crying. They take me to a station, and I obviously reported everything, and I'm still waiting to see like what they say, like what's happening, if I need to go to court or something. So I'll definitely keep you. I think I'm gonna start a YouTube because I also have a lot more stories like this. Like, I have a lot of other trauma that I would love to share with you guys because I know you guys would be so invested. So I'm gonna put my YouTube in my bio, and if you guys want, you can follow me, because we don't know if TikTok's actually gonna get banned or not. So, but you thought the story ended there. No. So obviously in the car on the way to the station, I blocked him on literally everything, deleted everything, made it so he couldn't contact me in any way. But I have my calls, unknown callers, silenced, so I can't get any calls from like no caller ID or like spam callers or anything. I woke up to 2,000 no caller ID calls from him and 500 voicemails in my blocked section in my voicemails. And what he said in those voicemails will literally haunt me until the end of my time. The end of my time, and I will not be sharing that on TikTok. So obviously I reported it to the cops, and yeah, I'm still waiting to hear like what they say, like what's gonna happen. I don't know if I'm gonna go to court. I honestly don't even know if he's in jail. Like, I don't know anything right now, but like I said, I'm gonna start a YouTube in case TikTok gets banned, so I will update you guys on there, and I will put my YouTube in my bio. But anyways, that's the story. Like I said, it was traumatizing. I probably left out a lot of details because I've been trying to block most of it out of my memory. I also have ADHD, so I get my stories jumbled up a lot. It's just how I am. But yeah, thanks for watching. I wasn't expecting this to blow up, but thank you all.
Before we get started, please ignore the hair. The braids are coming. I'm getting new braids. Please, the natural hair almost took me out, and my light just died. So let me start by setting the scene for you all, okay? I would also like to preface myself by saying I have learned my lesson, so don't try this again. So I'm at work probably a week ago now at this point. It's a pretty slow day. Like, it's not anything too chaotic, but like I had to get a bunch of sets done during the day because I was the only person that could really do it at the time. The deadline was that day. Okay, cool. I'm setting the set, but I'm also greeting the customers as they come in because it's part of my job. And this one lady, I ask her if she needs any help, and she kind of looks at me like hella sus, like I did something wrong by asking her a question, which working in a makeup store is not really unfamiliar because people usually feel like it's a setup when you ask them if they need help with looking for anything. Usually I just genuinely want to make sure that no one needs to be pointed out to a direction so I can go back to what I'm doing. So then this other lady comes in, and they look like they would probably know each other. And this isn't me assuming, but like I felt the vibe that they knew each other. Super weird. I was like, they didn't come in together. They actually came in separately, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure these two people know each other. Second lady that was in the store, I went over to her and I asked her if she needed any help. She was in the Charlotte Tilbury section, so I just went over there to see if she needed any help. And this is the part where everything really started to go downhill for me and the store. and everyone included, really. Just like, hey, like, do you need help looking for anything? And she was like, no, I'm just browsing right now. And then she like looked at me and she was like, oh, you're like really pretty. Listen, at the end of the day, I am simply just a girl. If you tell me I'm pretty, I'm gonna start getting flustered. I'm gonna blush a little bit. I'm gonna start kicking my feet. I'm like, oh my God, like, thank you so much. And she was like, no, like, you really are. She was like, your skin looks so good. And I was like, oh my God, like, thank you, girl. So at that point, I'm like, me and this girl are locked in. Like, you know, we were going back and forth. Like, I gave her a compliment back because she was pretty. Like, she was bad. I was like, okay, like, period, girl. Like, when a baddie compliments you, you take that thing and you run with it, okay? You run with it. You don't ask questions, you just go with it. So I'm like, oh, period. Like, okay, girl, well, just let me know if you need anything. Like, I'm literally right beside you. Like, when I tell you I was, like, right beside her doing this set, I was over there. Like, my back was turned, but I was over there. Okay. One other lady that is not involved with the two other women shopping in this store. And she had been in there for this point, like, 30 minutes. And I'm still constantly like, do you need help with anything? And she would come up to me occasionally while I'm doing the set to like ask like a makeup question, and I would just like go over there to help her. It was a really good dynamic. I really loved that. I keep turning constantly while I'm in the store just to like make sure that nothing was out of the ordinary, because I just kept getting this uneasy feeling. And like I told y'all, my gut and intuition is crazy good. And at this time, I just tried to ignore it because the girl called me pretty. I was like, how dare I try to assume that someone is stealing when they haven't given me any proof of reasoning that they are? And I'm just like, you know, I'm still scoping the scene out. I'm checking left and right, making sure nothing suspicious is going on. It didn't look like nothing suspicious was going on. The one lady that was acting hella sus when I asked her if she needed help with anything, I like turned and I realized she's not in the store. And I'm like, oh, great. She probably did, in fact, take something, because like she didn't ask me a single question, but she also didn't look like she knew what she was looking for. So I was like, okay, cool. My intuition is never wrong. I do not assume things about people because I think it's gross. And the people that everyone's just like, that girl, that's a woman with a baby stroller, she's not stealing, you'd be surprised. The one lady that called me pretty, she was still in the store. Like, she was in there for just like a few, like, she was still in there for a second. But the woman had called me over that had been shopping in the store previously. And she was like, hey, like, can you help me find the shade in, like, Charlotte Tilbury's concealer? And I'm like, yeah, girl, like, I'll come and help you. Go over to the Charlotte Tilbury section, right? Mind you, this is the day after we had just got our new shipment in of new products. So everything was, like, fully stocked. I mean, stocked to the brim. And when I get over there, I'm like, well, something over here doesn't look right. I ended up having to apologize to the lady because I was like, I'm so sorry. I think the store just got robbed. And she was like, what do you mean? And I'm like, no, well, you see, this thing of Charlotte Tilbury was full when I came in at 8 a.m. It is now 10 a.m. and it's gone. There's only been 5 people in here today, so I'm really confused on why it's gone. The only lady that was left in the store, she was asking me to help her find like a nice little hydrating lip gloss. So I was like gonna go show her my favorite ones. The stop we were gonna go to was clearance. We get over to the clearance and I notice that the clearance is completely empty. Now, this is weird because clearance is never empty. Any shade is empty, it's gonna be black cherry. Every single color was gone, and I was like, now I know this isn't right because I physically put these out yesterday. Okay, so something's going on. I think that these women fully stole while I was fully in here communicating with them, talking to them, and I'm like, what the heck, how am I gonna explain this one? Like, went over to Summer Fridays to show her those lip oils. Every single one of those lip oils were gone. I had just put them out yesterday. Oh my God, not only did we get robbed, we got robbed with a capital R. I'm like, oh dear Lord Jesus, like this has been a robbery. I ended up calling like my coworker just to like make sure before I tell any manager I was like sell a bunch of like Summer Fridays and clearance and like Charlotte Tilbury yesterday, and she's like, no girl, like when you left it was like dead. And I was like, okay. okay, wow. Great. How am I supposed to explain that the reason that there was a robbery was because a girl called me pretty and I was just like, have fun shopping. They were real professional. I would want to say that.
I heard we're talking about things that our exes did and we stayed, and I have some good ones, so buckle up. Some of y'all might look at me differently after this, so I need to give you a disclaimer that I was 15, young and dumb. We're going to start at my sweet 16. All night, I noticed he was very close to one of my best friends, and I noticed her, like, have that awkward face of, like, okay, like, aren't you Malia's boyfriend? Why are you all up on me? and she kept removing herself, and then he kept going and checking on her. And then at the end of the night, we were all taking pictures, and of course I wanted a picture with him. My phone's dead by the end of the night, so I take his phone to look at the pictures that we just took, and there's a bunch of notifications on Snapchat from an account that just had the unicorn emoji. So what do you do in that moment? You check the messages. I opened the Snapchat messages, and the last thing he said was, "Love you, I'll text you after I get off work." Work is crazy because not only did this man not have a job and I had to pay for everything, but you're at my sweet 16. He was 2 years older than me, by the way, so he was 18. Should have had a job. It's like I have to do my brows first, but then I end up messing them up later on in my makeup routine. So I hand him the phone back, I show him what I saw, and I just like walk away. Later that night, once everybody went home, we fought about it. He tells me that he was trying to get at this girl because her father worked at a car dealership and he wanted a good deal on a car. And I stayed. Little old 16-year-old Malia. Oh, the dad's gonna give you a car for free. Perfect. What? Oh, and of course, after the party was over, me and my friend were talking shit about him and how he was flirting with her the entire night. And when I confronted him about that, he said, well, she didn't know anybody else there. I wanted her to feel comfortable. So you made her feel uncomfortable in the process. Let's just move on. There was a whole lot more stupidity. Now, we did go to different schools. So I could tell you about the time he told me he couldn't bring guests to winter formal. And then all of a sudden there ended up being pictures of him and another girl matching at winter formal on the other girl's Instagram. But that's too basic. But I stayed. Let's bring it back to the first 2 weeks of us talking. He basically told me that him and his ex bonded over cancer because he had fought cancer when he was younger. And that she would always have to be in his life because she was there for him through that time in his life. When he told me this, I was so stuck on like, you battled cancer, like tell me more, like I didn't know this about you. And I was kind of just writing off the ex part. I was like, well, that makes sense, sure, fine. That conversation led us to start talking about religion and how we are both Christians. And that after his battle with cancer, he made a promise to God that he would not have sex before marriage. At this point, I'm a 15-year-old virgin who's already dating someone older than me. I was very moldable. So like whatever he said went, and he said no sex till marriage. If anything, I just felt less pressured. So I was all for it. My mom told me you have sex, you get pregnant. And so I was kind of scared regardless. This is when it starts to feel like Risa Tisa part 2. Y'all are gonna wanna jump through the phone and slap me. When he moved schools, I kind of remember his friends changing up on me and them kind of like looking at me like, girl, run. But in my head, I was just like, they want me. But a year goes by, we've been together, and then it's like a year and a half. We've never had sex. We genuinely never even got close to it. The most we ever did was like make out. In that year and some change that we were together, this man had sexual relations with over 10 women. And I had no clue. That literally all came out once we broke up. But nobody wanted to tell me, they just wanted to look at me crazy. There definitely were signs that I was just ignoring. Like, I think I went over to his house to ask him to like the girls ask guys dance. And I had a poster and everything. And I was like, come outside. And he's like, I can't. You're here? What's going on? I was honestly so blinded by like an older boy. He was on the football team. He was on the track team. He liked me. I was a cheerleader. I was like living in this High School Musical fantasy and I did not care, I guess. I don't know. Him choosing to have sex with a bunch of people but me did mess me up for a very long time. But it also made me hold on to my V card very tight and I was going to decide when I gave it up. I could easily do a part 2, but I think I've embarrassed myself on the internet enough for today. I was going to say the crazy part to this story, but I think the whole story has been crazy. Like, I feel like if I tell you that he broke up with me in a text that ended in, don't call me because I don't want to hear you cry, you wouldn't be shocked. Believe it or not, me and his ex actually became friends after we broke up because I needed someone to trauma bond with. The first thing out of her mouth when we finally talked was, he told you he had cancer, huh? Up until that moment, I thought he had fought cancer. Young and dumb. Young and dumb. That's enough for today, folks. I'll see you guys next time.
Back in in the day, when I was in secondary school, I used to chill with the girls in the year above me, and we were all pretty naughty friendship group. So one day I come into school and I have been immediately called into my head teacher's office, and I'm thinking, what the fuck? So the deputy head starts sitting me down going, there's been a fight this morning and you're the instigator of it. And I'm like, what fight, darling? I have no idea what on God's green earth you're talking about. He starts telling me, oh, well, there's CCTV footage. We have evidence. We know that you're the instigator. He starts telling me that this girl that I don't like and I had issues with got jumped in the morning by two of my friends. And I was like, well, I wasn't there. And he was like, yeah, but you instigated it. And I was like, no, I have no knowledge of what you're telling me right now. Like, you're currently giving me major gossip. What do you mean she got jumped? I need the nitty-gritty details, immediate effect. Me and him are going back and forth. And he's telling me that, like, basically both of my best friends started arguing with her outside the train station on the way to school, and then they all started scrapping. And I was like, okay, but how do you think that I come into this equation? And he was like, well, because you're the one that has a problem with her. And I'm like, well, no, clearly they've got their own separate issue with her, because I didn't fucking order them and say, yeah, you, be gone, go and mash her up. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, I got put on red report and I got put in isolation that day, even though I actually didn't do anything wrong. You can't just tell me that a bitch I don't like got jumped, but you're not going to give me the details, but you are going to put me in isolation. Like, I'm telling you, I didn't know anything about this. If I knew that she was getting jumped, I would have been there to watch, because I really didn't fucking like her. Anyway, my school used to always do this tactic. Whenever we used to get in trouble, they used to be like, well, we have CCTV footage of this, to try and, like, bait you into telling, like, the truth. But, like, obviously, if you got in trouble enough and you were smart enough, you knew that. But actually, like, none of the CCTV cameras in our school work. These people really thought they were the fucking police, like, trying to bait us into telling the truth. And I remember school, it genuinely was like a fucking police station every day, writing long ass statements. Well, this particular day I didn't really have much to fucking write, apart from I don't know why the fuck I'm here. I don't know. I think they were really trying to push the whole guilty by association nonsense to teach me from young that this is what's going on. But, like, I was usually just as bad as they were, but just this particular day I didn't have a fucking clue about what was going on. Moral of the story is, birds of the same feather flock together, and if you're flocking with a certain type of bird, be expected to be treated accordingly. And accused, you know, if the birds are not so great. Let me know if you guys want more school story times, because I have absolutely endless stories for you.
Get ready with me for drinks with the girls whilst I tell you about the time I nearly got arrested. Did my brows and skincare off camera because it takes fucking ages, but I'm just using this Charlotte Hollywood Flawless. I love this. It gives you such glowy skin. So from the ages of sort of 17 to 19, I was an absolute heathen. I had a lot of stuff going on with my family. Like, my dad left my mum and it was like an absolute nightmare. And I just kind of went off the rails a little bit and just did what the fuck I wanted. It was kind of like I was in self-destruct mode. The only things that really mattered to me at that time was making money, going out with my friends, getting pissed and seeing boys. Nice and glowy now. Just using this little NYX concealer. I never wear foundation, actually, fun fact. I just use concealer and bronzer. Perfect duo. Me and my group of friends, we fell in with this kind of group of bad boys, if you like. They were into sort of heavier things other than just drinking. And this one guy that I met, I was really obsessed with him. I was so into him. I just remember talking about him all the time, wanting to see him all the time, even though he was the biggest fucking waste man. I absolutely hope you are not watching this. If you are, I wish you all the very best. God bless. Seen him for a very short while and I knew he wasn't as into me as I was into him, and I thought, do you know what would be really good to impress him is if I can score us some, yeah, I'll get some of that and he will absolutely love me for that. I was going through that sort of, do you remember Effie from Skins? That sort of era. I literally thought I was her. I was so dark, so fucked up. Yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna score some good shit and I'm gonna impress him and he's just gonna love me forever. The goods, went around his house and we just hung out for a bit, and then I was like, actually, I'm not feeling too well. I'm gonna go home. He's like, cool, I'll walk you to the bus. This Charlotte Tilbury bronzer, it's my absolute fucking fave. Walks me to the bus. I'm like, babes, do you wanna have that little, he was like, oh yeah, let's do that. We're walking to the bus in the middle of the fucking day, smoking down this alleyway. As I see at the end of the alleyway, a police officer turns into the alleyway. I quickly discard the you-know-what, and I'm in sheer fucking panic. I'm like, right, okay, let's speed up, we need to get to the bus now. Turn the corner, get to the bus stop. I look behind me and the copper is turning the corner and walking straight for us, and I'm like, done for, done for. Sheer panic, like my heart was racing. I thought I was gonna pass out. I was seeing, I was like, chill out, man, what is your issue? Like, he was so nonchalant and casual about this, whereas I was like a good girl from like a nice family, and I was like just using this Made by Mitchell blush. Police officer came up to me, this guy, and he was like, what were you two up to? They're like, nothing, like we weren't doing anything. Had the discarded, picked it up from the floor, and he was like, what's this? Oh, that was with me was like, nothing, man, what's your issue? It's none of your business. I stood there like quaking. The police officer's like, look kids, like I've caught you, there's no getting out of this one. I know you were smoking up. Just like, yeah, okay. I literally broke down and I was like, I'm so sorry, please, I'm so sorry. Police officer was just like, names, ages, addresses, let's go. I was just little 17-year-old me having a full breakdown next to this roadman who was just like, whatever. Made an absolute fool of myself. I was like, name's Alice, I'm sorry. Honestly, I gave such a performance and apologised so much. I think the police officer just felt so sorry for me. It was just like, look, I'm going to give you a warning. This is a caution. If I ever catch you doing anything like this again, you're going to prison. I was just like, police officer walked off and left us whilst I'm still waiting for the bus. And this guy next to me is just like, what the fuck were you doing? I've never been so terrified in my life. I genuinely thought like, that was it, I was going to prison, my life was fucking over. I was using this Kylie on my eyes on the bus and said my goodbyes to this bloody idiot. I just remember thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna go home and the police officer is gonna have called my mum on the landline. At the time we had landlines, I'm fucking old. I got home and I was thinking my mum's gonna have like spoken to the police, she's gonna fucking kill me, I'm gonna be out on the street. Thank the fucking Lord for that police officer, because he actually hadn't called my mum. I think he felt really sorry for me and my absolute meltdown in front of him. Just took pity and just like allowed it. I was just a fucking 17-year-old kid. It got to the evening time and I went and texted that guy to say like, how you doing? Why have you not checked up to see if I'm fucking alive and my mother hasn't murdered me? He'd blocked my number. Moral of the story is kind of, don't do stupid fucking shit to impress guys that literally don't give a hoot about you. Really fucking shook me up. I've not been in trouble with the police since that day, thank God. Here's the makeup, all done by the way. I actually quite like how this has turned out. Have a lovely day.
This is a story time on how I caught my ex cheating on me using my own phone. Now, I want to preface this video by saying this man cheated on me with a fuckload of women, like 30 plus, right? Whether it was over my phone, over his phone, and I'm talking emotional cheating, physical cheating, wherever you are on the spectrum of cheating, he did it, okay? Other thing is, whenever I mention an ex, it's always the same ex because I've only had one ex and I was with him for an extensive period of time, about 5-6 years, okay? This was maybe about 2 years into our relationship. Now, by this point, I've already caught him cheating on me, speaking to other girls, the whole lot, basically just doing me dirty, right? And 2 years into our relationship, we went to Poland. And this man always had a broken phone. He always had a lost phone. He always had a dead phone. He couldn't get into his phone. He was just kind of relying on me for everything, right? Just to help walk him through life, essentially. So we were in Poland, and we were in Poland with two of our other friends who were, basically the girl was my friend, the guy was his friend, and they were also in a relationship. So it just kind of made sense. And we were also there just to sort something out. We were in Poland, and even though, okay, I was an idiot, this was a big trauma bond I got with him after a traumatic experience in my life. I lost my virginity to him. It was just very much a relationship that it wasn't love, okay? I was blinded, and I excused a lot of shit, including him cheating on me with like 30 plus girls. In my eyes, at this point, emotional cheating was, I still strongly believe this, to be honest, emotional cheating is far worse than physical cheating, because the way men will explain sex to you is it's just sex. It's just a physical act. It's just something that happens in the spur of the moment. It doesn't have any thought or emotions behind it. Whereas emotional cheating, it actually takes effort, time, care, and all of these different things that are hard to get from men. So for a man to be spending his days telling a woman how he's going to take her out or planning all of these things for them to do together or saying he wants to have her kids, that pisses me off more than if you just go out and you lip some random thing on a night out. Because why do you care about her? All of the love you're giving her is supposed to be going to me. So what's going on here? Anyways, during our relationship, there was this one girl, the one they always tell you not to worry about. But this one I actually didn't have to worry about because nothing ever flourished of it. She got scared by me. Anyways, there's always the one girl they tell you not to worry about. And she was it for a period of time, right? She had no clue about me, poor girl, until I obviously showed up at her house. But anyways, that's another story. And this guy had been messaging her non-stop, like for a couple of months straight. Like he was serious about her. He wanted to take her out. He wanted to do this, that, and the other. And I caught him talking to her because I went for his phone. And I said, look, she's got to go. It's either her or me. Obviously, he picked me. And in my delusion, I believed it. In my delusion, I thought he was being honest. No, my back fucking foot. He blocked her for a day and then unblocked her and told her, oh, my crazy ex blocked you off my phone. I'm so sorry. She hacked my stuff. My crazy ex, by the way. Yeah. Anyways, we're in Poland now. And we're getting drunk with our friends. We're having a splendid, jolly good time, right? Everyone's having a good little vibe. And the problem is, all of a sudden, this man is on my phone. Now, when he had my phone, in Poland, by the way, when he had my phone, this should have been the first red flag. You know what? The whole relationship was a red flag. But this should have told me, bitch, don't let him use your phone. So this man would use my phone while we were away or whenever he needed to use my phone when his was broken. And he would log into two things, Snapchat and Instagram, right? And his email. But bearing in mind, I was still like obviously posting actively. I wasn't doing social media, but I was still actively posting on social media at the time. So whenever I would ask for my phone back, this man would log out. Log out of Snapchat, log out of Instagram, log out of everything, close both apps, right? So imagine two people in a day sharing a phone constantly. He's doing it. I'm like, babe, I need my phone. I need my phone. I need my phone. Every time, even if I just wanted to Google something or check the fucking time or check the directions to somewhere, he would log out so I couldn't see what was going on. Why was I so stupid? And I just thought, oh my God, he just wants his privacy because I'm so nosy. No, bitch, you were stupid. Anyways, we was obviously all getting drunk, having a jolly good time. And he's on my phone, but he's like, it's like midnight, which in the UK time, it's like 11 p.m. He's on the phone a lot, smiling, laughing, kiki kaha, a little bit too much. And in my head, I'm like, babes, business hours are done. So who the fuck is messaging you and making you laugh this much? Because I should be the funniest person in your life. So what's going on? So I start thinking about it and then I get a gut feeling. Now, girls, you know when you get a gut feeling, you're right. You might not be 100% right, but there is some truth to what you're thinking and what you're feeling. So I get a gut feeling. I'm like, cool, I got a gut feeling. We need to get to the bottom of this because he's fucking doing something. So I'm like, right, I need to get to my phone, but I need to get to my phone in a way that he doesn't have time to log out because then I'm not going to be able to see what he was actually doing. So I had my laptop, and obviously my laptop and my phone are connected via iMessage. So I get my laptop out, I message my mum via my laptop, and I'm like, Mum, I need you to not text me back and just call my phone immediately, emergency. My mum calls my phone. As soon as she calls my phone, obviously I had to text in Polish because as long as it's in Polish, he can't see any of the messages come up or anything like that. Or even if he decides to go through my own phone, he can't see it. So I message her in Polish, he doesn't understand. My mum calls me. And as soon as she calls, I snatch the phone. I'm like, oh my God, babe, my mum's calling. It's an emergency. I need to speak to her. Gives me the phone, no qualms. I speak to my mum. I don't even speak to her about anything. My friend, who's Polish, in the house is looking at me like, what is going on? Because I'm just explaining to her over the phone what's happening. So my friend's looking at me like, oh, it's about to go down. I'm like, yes, it is. You better leave. So I tell my mum what's happening. I hang up the phone on my mum, and he goes to take the phone off me. And I'm like, no, babe, sorry, I just need to send my mum something. Look at me, even then, idiot. Why am I explaining myself for wanting to use my own phone? Anyway, so I tell him I need to send my mum something. I don't have to send my mum nothing. In that process, I look at the two last opened apps. Now, that was Snapchat. Instagram was closed. I'm like, fuck Instagram. Snapchat's open. This is what I caught him red-handed on. So I go into Snapchat. God forbid if I even went to see Instagram because there probably would have been so much more. Now, I go into Snapchat. First of all, hella girls' names. But I'm not bothered about all the girls because if I was to sit here and cry about every single one of them, I would probably end up killing myself. But there is one name that stands out, and it is the name that he always told me not to worry about, and the girl that I told him has got to go. So I click on that. Oh, he's smart. He deletes chats, right? So there's not much in the conversation. But the last bit that says is, oh my God, can't wait to see you. I would love to see you. And he replies, oh, well, I land this day at this airport. Why don't you meet me at the airport? Sorry, sir. What? Now, let me set the scene for you, right? I am a white, Caucasian, Polish woman. Yeah? My ex was a dark-skinned black Nigerian man with dreads. We had the same flight back home. What was you going to do with me when we land back? Was you just going to toss me aside and fucking leg it? Or was you going to pull up to this girl and be like, oh yeah, this is my cousin and this is my cousin? Who's the cousin? Me or her? Because I will box you and she looks like a dickhead. Final point. I don't even know why I said final point, yeah? Is it not a bit embarrassing for you, yeah? This man was older than me by like 2 years. He was older than the girl by like 3 because she was younger than me by like a year. Is it not embarrassing for you, darling? Not only only are you messaging this girl from your girlfriend's phone, because you can't even afford to fix your own, you are also asking this girl to pick you up from the airport like you're a fucking bitch. Like you're a little passenger princess. What's going on?
My stalker is now in jail for unaliving someone. And now that he's in jail, I feel safer telling my story. Let's bring it back. I have actually known this man and his family since I was a little girl. Let's call him Freddie. So Freddie was a grown man who was still living with his parents. I want to say he was probably like in his 20s or 30s when I was like a child. They lived in the apartment 2 doors down from ours. And so every time that we would see Freddie, he would always make it a point to say hi to my mom. We would joke, my mom, me and my sister, that Freddie had like a little crush on her because we would be walking as a whole family, even my dad there, and he would only say hi to her. But the whole family felt like relatively comfortable. We knew that he was like maybe a little bit off, but it was fine. So his father unfortunately ends up passing away. He was like sick, so it wasn't unexpected. So now it's just him and his mom. So we start like seeing the police show up like every couple of days to that apartment. So much so that it got to the point where they were just like kind of making like weekly visits to see if everything was okay. And once in a while I would show up to my house and there would be like detective cars like parked outside, like unmarked, just watching it. They knew him by name. Boom, 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 Freddie, open up the door. Like, we're just here to check. Freddie, open up the door. Like, they was like buddies at that point. And we would hear them consistently screaming at each other. And it just got so much worse as time went on. We end up finding out Freddie is a diagnosed schizophrenic, which is not bad in itself. But he was always like really good on his medications. Everything was fine. We never saw problems until he decided to go off, which was of course around the time where the police would be showing up to this apartment. So now I'm in my 20s. The mom is like pretty sickly and they're fighting quite a lot. We end up finding out, I'm not even sure who from, he was like physically abusing the mom. This continues to go on. And around this time is the time where he would start shifting his focus from my mom to me. It started off like pretty innocent. He would just see me and say like, hi Kayla, and sometimes start like a little conversation. But then I started to see him like a lot more than usual. In these conversations, he would always tell me how beautiful I was, how stunning I was, and how much I looked like his wife. Who's his wife, you may ask? In Freddie's mind, he was married to J-Lo. Now, in these little hallway conversations that he would stop and have with me, he would tell me that he knew J-Lo from the Bronx when she was, it's funny now because of all the memes. They were like dating and they wanted to get married, but it just didn't work out because she got famous. He bought her a ring and that he proposed to her. Obviously, I knew he wasn't on his medication, so I just like, you know, I was like, oh wow, that's really cool. Like I had no idea. I had to just play that part and keep myself safe. But over time, he continued and continued telling me, you look exactly like my wife. You remind me of her. And so I'm like, fuck, this is about to get bad. Go to part 2. My stalker unalived someone, part 2. So this would continue every single time I saw him, which was getting to the point where it was like every single day. Just seeing him in the hallway escalated to him knocking on my door at random points in the day to come see me. There was one particular time where I was home with my grandma and her home attendant, and I hear her open the door and I hear Freddie's voice. She's like, no, she's not home. You need to get out of here. And so I'm a little bit confused. I'm like, you know, it's not a big deal. Like he knows where I live. He lives right in the other apartment. Like I'm just gonna go say hi to appease him. We will find out why she said that in a little while. Obviously he was doing that stuff to his mom, so I know to be wary. As a woman, I felt like I kind of had to play it smart. The man knows my apartment number, for crying out loud. So he pulls up a picture of this really well-known mansion in our area. And he starts telling me that he's gonna buy it. And I'm like, that's really cool. Like, and mind you, our apartment's like teeny tiny New York City apartments. I'm like, what kind of money you got? But anyway, so he starts telling me, yeah, I'm gonna buy it. Like, for you and my son and my wife, and we can all live there together. Mind you, he's showing me the picture of this well-known mansion on Google Images. And so I'm like trying to laugh it off because now I'm uncomfortable. Now I'm scared. And in this conversation, again, he's consistently telling me how much I look like his wife, J-Lo. Miss Jenny from the block. So he's starting to get like more and more in depth about his son. So he tells me his son's name. It's Freddie. Let's go over this. I look like his wife J-Lo, and his son's name is Freddie. And as he's talking, he's using the position of his wife J-Lo and myself interchangeably, as well as himself and his son Freddie and Freddie. He's using their positions interchangeably as well. And so finally, I get him to leave. I close the door. And I immediately tell my family. So my family's not happy. My dad's pissed. And so they end up talking to my grandmother's home attendant. And she tells them that the reason that she said no is because he does that every single day. He shows up to my apartment every single day, knocks on the door, and asks for me. And so obviously, the home attendant is gonna tell him, hell no, every time. I didn't know that. So I'm not sure how long passes in between these two instances. Me and my family are sitting in my living room, and we hear the loudest bang on our door. It's 11 o'clock at night. My dad gets up, he's like, everybody stay here, I'm gonna go check. He looks through the peephole, and he decides to open the door. We're like, what the hell? It's Freddie. He's asking for me at 11 o'clock at night, and my dad's like, stay over there. So basically, he's telling my dad the same thing that he told me about this house. Now he's added in the point that he is actually a millionaire, and that if I were to marry his son, who is also Freddie, I would never have to worry about anything. I wouldn't have to work, just like his wife, J-Lo. I would be set for life, and he's gonna take care of me. I mean, his son is gonna take care of me. And so my dad is like, listen, Freddie, you need to go home. This has to stop. Freddie takes it well. Now it's to the point where gifts start to show up at my house. I come home to 2 dozen roses in a vase with a teddy bear on it. I'm like, what's going on? The next time I get a gift, it's a dozen donuts, just because. So these interactions continue to happen, and it's starting to get to the point where it's way more concerning than it's ever been. When I would see him out, he would be like, hi Kayla, say hello to me, try to start the conversation about his wife J-Lo, aka me. But then there was one night where I saw him and he was beeline walking. Pretty much nothing behind his eyes, completely straight face, mouth even like kind of like slightly open, like he was not there. Walked directly past me, didn't even look in my direction. At this point is where it starts to get really bad. My stalker unalived someone, part 3. So after this, I do my very best at all costs to avoid this man. Now I'm freaked the fuck out. My parents are legitimately scared for my safety because we know everything that's going on in his home. However, if they see him or if I see him, we try to keep it quick, but we're still very friendly and nice. There's a point where my dad walks in on him in the hallway, face completely down, screaming, he's wailing. We know that these are a lot of mental health issues that he's having. And clearly the parents were not well equipped to continue to deal with this, especially that the mom was sick and dealing with this abuse. So my dad tries to talk him down a little bit from whatever it was that he was screaming and wailing about. And eventually he does. Whenever I go out, I have to like let my guy friends know, like, listen, can you please bring me upstairs? You know, this is what's going on. And we were just on the lookout for anything that may be an unsafe situation. A decent amount of time has passed where I haven't really seen too much of him, and it starts to become a thing that he's like actually missing. I come home one day and there's a coroner's van outside my apartment building. I walk in the door and I see them bringing out you know what. I'm stunned, but I get upstairs and guess whose door is wide open with police and a medical team? Freddie's door. It was the person who was sadly taken away in the van, his mother. So at this point, everybody's minds are kind of wondering, could this have been him? Fortunately, it was determined that she had passed from natural causes. She was old and sick. However, Freddie is still missing. We have no clue where he is. For weeks. I bet you're asking, so who was the person that he unalived? Well, my mom tells me that she stopped in the pizza store next to our house to get a slice of pizza, and that the pizza guy started to tell her how he received a call from a prison in a different state, I won't say where, from Freddie. Freddie used his prison phone call to call the pizza guy and explain why he was in jail. I won't get into the full details of how this person was unalived. Truthfully, don't have all the information, but apparently it was some sort of accident. At the end of the day, it really is a sad story, but it was genuinely pretty scary for me and my family at the time. I truly hope that he does get the help that he needs. But yeah, everybody stay safe out there. My Stalker Unalived Someone, Part 4, some extra details. So I got a lot of comments asking me, why didn't you go to the police? Girl, why don't you call the cops? It was definitely a topic of conversation in my family whether or not we should get the police involved. But at the end of the day, he really wasn't doing anything illegal. Like, yeah, I guess you could say like stalking and harassment is illegal, but at the same time, this is New York City, Brooklyn, New York. NYPD do not care. They will stand around and that's all they do. They weren't even helping or doing much when he was abusing his mother. Why would they care that he's knocking on my door at 11 p.m.? When the abuse would happen, the mother would call the cops. They would come get him, arrest him for like a couple hours, maybe overnight if she was lucky, and then he was released the next day. Some people were confused on what they brought out of the apartment. It was an unalived, no longer living person. That was his mother. And also to clarify, there was no son. He didn't exist. In his mind, I was his wife, J-Lo. I am J-Lo. He was the son. So when he would say, I want you to marry my son, you should be dating my son, he meant himself. There was also a time where he told me that he saw me with some guy walking in the stairwell and that this guy was yelling at me, screaming at me in the hallway, and that we were fighting, and that this guy was a total loser and that I should be with his son instead, which is not true. I was single. So again, when he's telling me this, I kind of just have to nod along and like play yes man. In that same conversation, he also told me that my friends were doing in the stairs, like share. I'm just kidding. I think it's important to treat people with grace to a certain extent. Of course, you know, you still have to look out for your safety, and I feel like I did that. I feel like my family did that very well. There was also a couple times where he saw my little sister, who was 15 or 16 at the time, waiting for the bus, and he like refused to let her take the bus. Like he was trying to give her money so that she could take a cab, which by itself is not bad. Knowing what we knew, it was like, stay away from her. And she was pretty creeped out too. Like she went and she told my mom, and there was one time where he was like insisting that she take the money, that she kind of just had to take it so that he would like leave her alone, and my mom actually had to go return it to him and ask him not to do that anymore. I will say a little bit more about the person that he actually unalived. As we know, he called the pizza guy. The story goes, he was apparently having some sort of break again. Somehow, we don't know, he got access to a car, which is weird because he's never owned a car, but he was driving one, speeding like crazy. I believe it ended up in some sort of police chase. He causes an accident and the person ends up passing away. This happened like a good 6 states away. Nobody knows how he got there. That's honestly all the information I have. Yeah, that's the end for this one. Does anybody want to hear about how I got scammed by a sugar daddy?